The Ford Maverick Tremor is unique compared to the rest of the Maverick lineup for a few reasons. You've got unique wheels and a unique interior, but the thing that really separates this truck from the rest of the Maverick lineup is what's going on underneath. You've got bash plates in the front, unique suspension, and that advanced all-wheel drive system puts you very much in line with the Bronco Sport, which I'd go for the Badlands version, but I'm like so torn on like, do you look at the Tremor Maverick or do you look at the Bronco Sport Badlands? It's going to depend on what you do, but in this video, I'm going to cover off everything you need to know about the Maverick Tremor. So regardless of the trim level, whether it's XLT or Lariat, you're going to have unique lettering along the side there. Driver passenger side. 17-inch wheels are going to be the only option available inside of the Tremor package of the vehicle, but you do have unique tires that come with it. You've got the black cap in the very middle, and then there's also a unique highlight along the wheel itself. I like it. Those little orange highlights, but the orange highlights follow through into the front end. So if you look at the grille, got that nice highlight that follows all the way throughout the middle. LED headlamps are going to be there. And then you've got painted tow hooks in the very front side there as well. So 2 painted tow hooks. You're not going to find fog lamps inside of the Maverick whatsoever, regardless of the trim level that you're in or the packages that you've added on. One other thing that's going to make the Maverick Tremor a little bit more unique. It's also got steel bash plates down there. So front end bash plate, which very useful if your plan is to take this thing off-road. But I like that front end highlight. It's good. Taking a peek underneath the hood of the Maverick. You've got 2 different engine choices that are available. It's either going to be a 2.5 liter hybrid, which is now optional in the 2024 model, or you've got the 2 liter turbocharged engine, which is now the standard engine choice. I'd hands down go for the 2 liter turbocharged engine. 250 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. This thing is an absolute monster. Especially with a vehicle this weight, it's incredible. Now, do you go for the 2 liter or the 2.5? It's going to depend on you. Like if you want better fuel economy, you're going to want to go for the 2.5 liter hybrid. But that also means you won't be able to get the Tremor package. So you do have to go for the 2 liter in order to get that package available. You definitely want to make sure you're at least maintaining your vehicle to get the best possible life out of your ride, but to protect the manufacturer's warranty, which in the Ford world, your basic is 3-year, 36,000 mile or 60,000 K. Powertrain warranty is a 5-year, 60,000 mile or 100,000 K. Pretty respectable at the same time, but that's also kind of contingent on you taking care of your ride. So regular oil changes, regular scheduled maintenance to make sure you're protecting your investment. Filling up fuel inside of the Maverick is straightforward, and it's just along the driver's side. It's an unlocked cover with a capless system. Oh, fuel economy is pretty solid at the same time. Like if you want the best fuel economy inside of the Maverick, hands down, you're going to want to go for the 2.5 liter hybrid. But if you want a little bit more fun, you want to go for the 2 liter turbocharged engine. The Tremor is definitely optional. If you're going off-road, I would definitely recommend it. Nice styling at the same time too, but off-road for sure. When you look at fuel quality, just regular 87 octane. So it doesn't matter if you're in the 2.5 liter hybrid or the 2 liter turbocharged engine. It just needs regular unleaded, so 87 octane. Could you use like a 91? Yes, because the horsepower and torque specs are all achieved using a premium fuel. It's just that you don't need to do it. With gas prices the way they are right now, I'd probably recommend against it, unless you've got the budget for it. Because you'll probably notice an increase of like 2 to 3% if you use like a 91 or a 93 in comparison to regular 87. It's a nice Tremor badge along the back there. Get that orange, beautiful. And then in the back, you've got just your basic tail lamps there. Maverick lettering along the back with a little tiny Tremor highlight along the bottom right-hand side. Got the black Ford oval rather than the traditional blue with the rear camera there as well. Nice and simple. Now, typically the Lariat would have the reverse sensing system, but because we're in the Tremor package, no reverse sensing system there. But it is technically available inside this vehicle. Now, this is just the regular tow pack. So towing inside the Maverick, you could go up to 4,000 pounds depending on how it's configured. But inside of this thing, because it's not the 4K tow package, you're maxing out at 2,000 pounds. There's the 4-pin provisions there, and then your receiver, spare tire for the vehicle, is located just underneath. And then there also is, you could probably make it out there, unique Tremor suspension. And that works beautifully with the electronic locking rear differential. And that's something that makes the Tremor different than the rest of the Maverick lineup, but I'll touch on that one in just a second. Getting inside of the bed of the Tremor, or the Maverick in general, I guess, so it's going to be locked typically, but once you've unlocked on the fob, dropping down and boom. Plenty of space inside this thing, but this one is just completely naked. I was in one recently that had the trifold hardtop tonneau cover, and it also had the toolbox. So if you want to see what that's like, you'll find it down in the description of the video. But back here, it's nice and simple. Along the right side, there's a little plug there, so you could essentially wire in your own 12-volt power point. Tiny little bit of storage along that side as well. Along the left side, same idea, another little power point area. So it's just wiring. If we actually pop that thing off, oh, you might just be able to see it. Hold on. Yeah. Tricky. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so you can see, wired in. So if you wanted to wire up the bed a little bit differently, you've got that flexibility. You've got a button to turn on the lights for the bed, but it also turns on the top bed lighting there as well. There's a 400-watt power plug back there, and that's just a traditional wall outlet. One thing, I like that little bottle opener on both the driver and the passenger side too. So you want to kick back after a long day of work, back at home, you're good to go. This is nice though. Now, you're only going to find the bed of the Maverick in 4.5 feet. So there's no option for a longer bed, and even the box size, or the cabin size, I should say. It's only going to be the 2 full doors. So you don't have the option for the super cab or just a regular cab version of the Maverick. So 4.5 foot bed. If you need space, you could just do a bed extender instead. So a little plastic extender right from your Ford dealership, but you're not looking at anything larger than a 4.5 foot. But I mean, realistically, this thing is pretty spacious at the same time. It's pretty good. I've seen all sorts of different options, like for the bed itself, like you could go spray in bed liner, you could do a drop in bed liner as well. Whether you go spray and drop in is going to depend on what you're doing. I do find the plastic liners are easier to like sweep out rocks and dirt and things like that, but you could always spray it down if you needed to. Series of different tonneau covers that are available. So there's trifold hardtop, there's soft rolling, hard rolling, whatever the case may be. You could do an aftermarket cap and things like that. So it's really the sky's the limit for the bed of this vehicle. Looking at payload inside of the Maverick, payload in any truck, usually a little bit of a pain to figure out. If there's a truck on a dealer lot that you're looking at, and you're not sure what the payload is, check out the little yellow door sticker, which will tell you the max payload for that specific build. The Maverick in general, you're going to have 1,500 pound max payload capacity, but that's going to depend on what packages you've added on, because 1,500 pounds is essentially a stripped down naked Maverick, but you add in packages like the Tremor pack, and that's going to subtract from your overall payload capacity. But inside of this one, because of the features it has, you're maxing out at 1,193 pounds. So payload numbers are all over the place, but one thing you also have to take into account with your payload capacity, if you're towing especially, is your tongue weight. Because let's say if you've got a bunch of people in the vehicle, a bunch of stuff in the bed of the truck, you might already kind of be at your max, which is going to push you then into a Ranger or an F-150. So you have to take the tongue weight of the trailer into account. So if you're pulling a trailer with 1,000 pound tongue weight, you're pretty much SOL for anybody outside of the driver in the vehicle. You're kind of already over its max. Could you do it as a one-off? It's highly, highly not recommended, but you probably shouldn't do it. So if you're really nickel and diming the payload numbers, the max towing numbers and things like that, look at a Ranger or at an F-150, because the last thing you want is to hurt this little guy. The side view mirrors inside of the Maverick don't feature turn signals, but it does feature the blind spot monitoring system. So if somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, that's going to highlight to let you know. The 5-digit number pad here, in order to get inside of the vehicle, is no longer available from the factory. So it's a dealer installed option for the 2024 model. But one thing you still will find is intelligent access. So there's a little hamburger button there. So you could push in order to lock the doors, or if you've got the fob on you, slide your hand in order to unlock. I love it. Oh, look at that Tremor badge. Beautiful. I'll touch on that one in a minute. But along the door there, it's just very Maverick-esque. Nice and simple. Unlock lock buttons, all of your side view mirror and window controls. Little handle there, which I like this. Ah, what do you think? The overall style of it's kind of neat. A little bit of bottle storage and just basic door storage there. And because this is the Lariat, it's got the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system, which I'll let you listen to once we get inside. built Ford tough along the outside with a series of different controls for a few things. So you can toggle your bed lighting on or off, figure out what's going on with your running lamps, and then increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. The steering wheel inside of the Maverick is going to be a manual telescoping across the board. I love that Tremor seat. Oh, that's nice. Tremor badge in the middle with the orange stitching that follows all the way throughout the seat. It would be nice if Ford had put some in the steering wheel too, but I'll take that. Nice and unique. Series of different seats that are available just depending on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. Like, are you in the XLT, the Lariat? It's going to be different than if you were like in the XL base. But this thing has full power seats, so forwards, backwards, up and down. You can adjust your backrest, and then there's also two-way lumbar support there as well. The seats inside of the Maverick are comfortable. Hold on. Okay, so the seat's as far down as it's going to go. And as far back, it doesn't overly matter, but I'm looking at like 5.5, like probably 5.5 inches of headspace there. So if you're taller, you'll be able to fit inside of this thing, no problem. There are a series of different materials for the seat that you're looking at. Cloth seats, ActiveX seating material with some unique highlights because this is the Tremor pack. I love it. Seat's comfy. I love the orange stitching inside of this thing. See, ooh, 4-way adjustable headrest. You can go forwards, backwards, up and down with it, which is nice. But the type of interior that you get is obviously going to depend on if you're in the XL, XLT, or the Lariat. But the Lariat, the seat is really good. And having that heated first row seat option, beautiful. Nice and simple start up there. This is nice. I wish, a few things. So I wish that the stitching inside of the steering wheel was orange, like what you're going to find in the seats. I think that would just make this pop a little bit more. And then the Ford Blue Oval, I think that should definitely be black, like what you saw in the mirror caps. But I mean, otherwise, this is very Maverick-esque. If you want a full walkthrough, like you want to know how to use the steering wheel buttons, the cluster screen, or the sync screen, you'll find that walkthrough down in the description of this video. But basics, there's a button on the tip of the left stick, and that's to turn the lane keeping system on or off. On the right side is going to control your wipers. This is just your basic cruise control, but there is technically the option for the adaptive cruise system instead. The adaptive is a set it and forget it cruise, but if you want to know how that system works, you'll find a walkthrough down in the description. You could increase, decrease volume, mute out. Along this side, change songs, radio stations. There's also a voice command prompt. So you can change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice if your screen had factory navigation. You could also use this button in order to activate your Google or Siri assistant. So if you're hooked up through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you would be able to use this button instead. Then just a series of other options to move through the cluster screen. Oh, the screen here, so there are technically two different infotainment systems available inside of the Maverick Tremor. Well, the Maverick, I guess, in general. It's either this thing, so it's the Sync 3 system with factory nav, or there's just the regular Sync screen without factory navigation. It works virtually identically between them. It's just that if you don't have factory nav, you'd have to connect your phone through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay to use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze. But otherwise, you're good to go. It's really straightforward here. But there are a series of different sources that are available. Audio inside of this thing, you've got the option for AM, FM, Sirius XM if you're in Sync 3, Bluetooth. You could just hook up your phone over Bluetooth if you wanted to stream audio that way. If you've got a USB stick with MP3s on it, you could also plug yourself in order to listen to audio that way. But before audio plays, it shouldn't autoplay, but before audio starts here, inside of the Maverick, you've got two different speaker choices that are available. The upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system that you're going to find inside of this thing is incredible. I personally would probably go with the option with the B&O sound system, but I know that does come down to a matter of preference. One thing I definitely recommend you do though, so you're going to go to your sound settings, drop the treble by 2, crank the bass by 3. That's going to give you really good audio, even in the bass system. But let's listen to this thing for a second. So I'm going to go to USB, and this audio is coming right out of the microphone. So there's no post-processing done whatsoever.
Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation.
Okay, that was at half volume. The audio inside of this, especially when you make those two small tweaks to your sound settings, it's just like a night and day difference. It is incredible. I love the audio inside of this thing. It's solid, especially when you get into the upgraded Bang & Olufsen audio system. Really good. But down here, you've got a series of options, like the factory nav inside of this screen. It's responsive, it's nice and simple at the same time. But like I said, even if yours doesn't have nav, just use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay instead. But there are tons of different options available inside of this vehicle. Basic vehicle settings, valet mode lets you fully lock the screen out as well. And there's a volume rocker, tuning rocker. Start-stop button is the one that's potentially going to kill power to the engine if you're stopped for an extended period of time. Technically, no way to be able to disable that permanently. There's also a series of other buttons there, including one to go to a calming screen or just turn the screen off instead. Because this is the Lariat, you're looking at dual zone climate control with heated first row seats and a heated steering wheel. Ah yeah. Series of different climate control settings as well, and then this thing also has heated side mirrors. You're going to be push button start across the entire Maverick lineup. And then there are a series of different power points there. So you've got a regular 12 volt, and then there's a USB and a USB Type-C. So these are for charging and for data. So if you wanted to hook up a phone through CarPlay, you could do that. If you wanted to stream audio, you could do that as well. This little button is going to be for that power sliding rear window. But you do have to push and hold, so it's not like an auto open close situation. There's the option for a wireless charge pad available inside of the Maverick. It's going to be trim level specific. And then just a little bit of storage there, along with a few cup holders and a teeny little bit of storage. Rotary shifter inside of the Maverick, so just across the entire vehicle lineup. There's a dedicated low gear as well, so if you're going off-road, like aggressive rock crawling, things like that, definitely the way that you want to go. You can also turn on your parking brakes. It's an electronic parking brake inside of the Maverick. From there, there's a series of other buttons there. So the buttons that you get here are going to depend on which version of the Maverick that you're in. But you're always going to have the drive mode button. It's just that it's got a little Tremor highlight there. Because if you look, so we've got normal mode, tow haul, slippery, mud ruts, but there's also a sand mode. So you get some additional modes inside of the Tremor version of the vehicle with a few other settings I'll explain in a sec. This is traction control. And then there's also this one, which is trail control. From there, a few other buttons. So you've got the four-wheel drive lock, and then there's also a rear differential lock. So that electronic rear locking diff is strictly going to be available for the Maverick, or for the Tremor version of the Maverick. There's also the auto hold setting. So with yourself in drive and the auto hold setting turned on, if you come to a complete stop, take your foot off the accelerator, or the brake I should say, the vehicle's not going to move. It's a pretty good safety setting there. The armrest inside of this thing is simple, non-lockable. Then there's a little bit of storage space. There's the option for a little console vault inside of this thing too, which is kind of unique. So if you're looking for something a bit different to lock in keys, valuables, etc., that is available. Got this nice little highlight along the side. Glove box with a teeny little bit of storage space. Same thing, non-lockable. The dash, you've got really good visibility, pillar visibility, not too bad at the same time. Both sides. And like I said, you've got the blind spot system there too. You've got speakers all over the place in the dash. Up overhead, manual dimming, rear view mirror, basic controls for your cabin lights, and then there's also a little sunglasses holder. Now this thing does have the option for a sunroof, tiny little one. It would just fit kind of like right in the little space here. But so it's not going to be full panoramic, but you at least have a little roof available as an option. There's a little ticket receipt holder on the outside and the inside. Vanity mirror with lights built in. And then this thing extends out. Oh yeah, blocking all of the sun that might hit your face. Now there's no handle on the driver's side whatsoever, but there is one on the passenger side, and then for the second row seats there too. But I said this is nice. And hold on, so with the seat, I gotta set myself up. Okay, yeah. So this is the way that I would traditionally drive, and with the seat set up this way, inside of the second row, I've got a great amount of knee space, great amount of foot space, and then up overhead, I've got like 4 inches of head space, a little over 4 inches, which is great. So if you're taller, you'll be able to sit back here. But the thing is that these seats are fully locked in place, so there's no way to recline them. You can't slide them forwards or backwards whatsoever. But there is a little tab. I'll show you what that does in just a second. There are little pockets behind both the driver and the passenger side. Just behind the armrest there, you've got a few power points. So there's a USB Type-C and a USB strictly for charging, and then another 400 watt power point back here too. It's nice and simple. There are some cup holders built into the seat. A few cup holders there, which go nicely with the bottle holders, cup holders that are available along the door. Up overhead inside of the vehicle, you've got a little light. And then there's a handle and a hook on both the driver and the passenger side. Nice. This is straightforward. So I did mention, oh, look at that beautiful October day. Oh, love it. All right, so squirrel, where was it here? So there's a little tab here you can pull in order to be able to lift the seat up. And one thing that I like about this seat, once it's locked up, it's like locked into place there. So you actually have to pull this to release, but there's a little bit of storage space on both the driver passenger side here. I love that. Super useful. Need to store muddy boots, tools, whatever the case may be, that is available. Like I said, this thing is locked up until you pull and drop down. Now, another tab just over top this little guy. So you're gonna pull, and that is to release the seat. So you can see there, you've got the jack stand, and then there's also the top tether points. So technically, you could change the tire yourself if you want to, but being a Ford owner, you also have access to Ford roadside assistance. That's good for the same length as the powertrain warranty. So 5 years, 60,000 mile or 100,000 kilometers. And one nice thing, so you've got the tab along the driver's side, but you'll also find it along the passenger side too. So you can lift that seat up on either the driver or the passenger side. And that was a look at the Ford Maverick Tremor. What'd you think? If you have any questions, drop down in the comment section below and let me know. And you can find a build link for this specific vehicle and all the tech walkthrough videos down in the description too. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I see you next time, take care.